be all right. And the microphone there. You're happy? Lovely.
Okay. Right, can everybody hear me? Is that okay? Fantastic. So yeah, my name's Tammy. I'm a nutritional therapist and I believe in keeping things simple. So our body is complicated, but there are simple things that we can do every day to be healthy. Best health doesn't have to be complicated. So the body is fascinating. It's a complex system of feedback and response, with the brain and body working in unison to find balance all the time. So what happens when we throw stress into the mix? So what is stress? Sounds like a silly question, but it's not just the emotional upset or psychological pressures that we think of as stress that act as a stressor on the body. So there are things like food intolerance, high intensity exercise, blood sugar imbalance, hunger and dehydration, poor sleep, things like electromagnetic stress. Anybody's heard of that? Noise, changes in temperature, hot or cold, environmental toxins, and nutrient deficiencies. So the body is constantly working to maintain balance, this homeostasis. And any of the things I've just mentioned can act as a stressor and result in an imbalance and a physiological stress response. I talk with my hands, so sorry over that. This is when the hormones kick in. So has anybody heard of fight or flight? Yes, lots of us. Okay, good. So this is the body's reaction to a perceived threat. The brain telling us there's a harmful event, that we're under attack, or there's a threat to survival. The brain recognises the stressor and biology takes over. So the adrenal glands start to produce adrenaline, epinephrine, noradrenaline, cortisol, and they're known as the stress hormones. So this was handy, very handy, when we were hunting woolly mammoth on the plains, and the body cleverly increases our heart rate, pumps glucose into our muscles so that we can run fast. And we're in high alert so we can make quick decisions and stay alive. Whilst we're in this state of high alert, functions like digestion, kidney function, reproduction function are non-essential, they're not important. So because reacting to a life-threatening situation is more important than any other function, we're programmed for survival. So cortisol, the stress hormone, takes precedence over all of the other hormones in the body. And this is often known as the cortisol steal. So in simple terms, we have a pot of cholesterol and amino acids, so fats and proteins that break down in our body, and that is what hormones are made out of, what the hormones that our body needs. So when we're under stress, cortisol gets first dibs out of that pot, and what's left behind, the other hormone systems have to cope with. So things like the thyroid controlling our metabolism and energy, insulin controlling our blood sugar and fat storage, estrogen and testosterone for our sexual function. When we're under stress, these hormone systems may be imbalanced because of the cortisol steal. So, we've caught the woolly mammoth. The clan have enough food for the winter. So we resume a peaceful life, and the body regains balance. The body's designed for these short bursts of stress and adrenaline, and they can be useful. But what if we have this continuous, chronic, underlying stress, a busy life, food intolerances that we haven't tackled? We haven't slept for a few days, a few weeks, or maybe a few months. And then a few majorly stressful events that have been thrown in, like moving house, getting married, new job, mammoth workload. I had to say that. So we've gone from the alarm stage of high alert to the adaptation and resistance stage, where our body starts to put up some resistance to being constantly under stress and reverses those biological responses that were useful. So we're no longer alert. Instead, we have brain fog and we're finding it difficult to make decisions. We're no longer pumped with energy and we can't run fast. In fact, we're finding it difficult to get out of bed. Our metabolism slows down, so we put on weight, and commonly we're left with high blood pressure. But life is going on the same way. We're still not sleeping great. We still haven't tackled those food intolerances. We've still got a busy job and a busy life. It keeps going. So if stresses continue, we move from resistance stage to the exhaustion stage. And here we're looking at burnout, diminished interest in anything. There's depression, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue. And yes, our genes play a part in this. Our genetic disposition tells our body how to react to stresses. But it doesn't determine the end result. We can work with our biology to work with the stress response. So, what can we do to help the stress response? We can reduce stress, which sounds simple, right? But there are some things that we can do that we talked about, that long list right at the beginning. So we can look to eliminate any food allergies or intolerances. We can eat a balanced diet to try and tackle any deficiencies. So when we think about our plate, if we think about quartering that plate, so a quarter protein, a quarter carbs, quarter leafy greens, and a quarter of rainbow-coloured veg or rainbow salad. That's a really nice way of thinking about how to keep your healthy eating on track, is how many colours you've eaten in a day. It's a really simple one for children as well. Not just talking about the 5 a day, but how many colours. And no, brown isn't a colour that we need in the diet. Chocolate is not on the list. Eat healthy fats. Eat a source of essential fatty acids, like oily fish 3 times a week. Have a handful of nuts and seeds every day. We can balance our blood sugar. So eating regularly, every 2 to 3 hours, to stop our blood sugar plummeting. We can choose to reduce sugar, choose whole grains, and when we're eating carbs, try and combine it with proteins, because that will give a slower release of energy and try and stop those insulin spikes. Drink water. Well done, on cue. 6 to 8 glasses a day, or around 1.5 litres would be an aim. And sleep is incredibly important. There are lots of sleep hygiene tips that you can get into a regular routine with sleep. You can limit environmental toxins, for example, eating organic whenever possible, using toiletries without SLS and parabens, so we're not absorbing toxins in the skin. Exercise is great, but high-intensity exercise when the body is under stress or suffering from adrenal fatigue can cause more problems. So maybe swap out one of the runs or spin classes for yoga, but not hot yoga, because then we've got the stressor of the heat. What else can we do to reduce the stress response? So there are lots of studies talking about meditation. Does anybody meditate in the room? Very good. So lots of studies saying great things can happen with daily meditation. Reduced anxiety, reduced blood pressure, improved sleep, improved digestion. And it's not about how long you meditate for in a day. So even if you can only manage 3 minutes of closing your eyes and just steadily breathing, that's great. But if you can do it daily, that's when you really get the benefits from it. Treating yourself to a monthly massage. Again, there's lots of studies show that massage can reduce inflammation, improve sleep, improve the immune system. And lastly, avoiding stimulants like caffeine, alcohol, sugar, smoking. Try to have your last coffee by 4 o'clock. I don't want to be the coffee police. If you drink coffee regularly, try and perhaps swap one of those for a herbal tea or a coffee alternative, or maybe even just a bit more water. And when your body is wired with stress, adding more stimulants to the mix is moving you faster towards the exhaustion stage. And stress is different for everyone, but all stress has a long-lasting effect on all of the body systems. So where possible, we can look to reduce stress and maybe keep life a little more simple.